Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it is time to go beyond the news, beyond the charts, and beyond the bell. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at the Blue Sky Trading Company for the clearest path to a live brokerage account. Live trading in the Discord with Mike every single day, and this fantastic, phenomenal show. You have no reason to get your accounts, get your content, get your education anywhere else. Check us out at bluesky.pro. And a reminder before we get into everything else, guys, we are still in the midst of a sale, flash sale, which ends tonight at midnight Eastern time, or 11 o'clock p.m. for those of you on normal time and not on the East Coast bias, just because New York and happens to be in Eastern time, etc., etc., etc. Of course, I'm kidding. But $99 for the 25K, 50K, and 100K premium accounts. And as always, which is now permanent, pass your eval with 25% consistency and receive a refund when you reach the brokerage of your initial sign-up fee. So if you were able to make it to the brokerage in a month, it's a bold goal, but it is possible. You could essentially end up with a funded live money brokerage account at no cost to you outside of taxes and, of course, data fees. So with that in mind, guys, let us go to the big picture. So we've talked how I use a top-down approach on the markets, right? I'm always looking at the 4-hour on the ES, the NQ especially, and then I get down to the 5 minutes, and it just helps me kind of visualize where the markets are. I'm actually doing a free webinar tomorrow night. I'll give you the information on that tomorrow about this particular approach. Don't worry, the webinar will end before the NFL draft starts for the draft nicks out there. But occasionally, the 4-hour charts are not a whole lot, at least moment to moment, are not very helpful. And there are times where you look at the 4-hour chart and you say, man, there's not a lot of opportunity there, right? And that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, if you recall back here, at this point on the chart, no directional movement. Okay, so this was back basically the 15th through 17th of April, so we're talking a little over a week ago. So basically last Monday, Tuesday, just not a whole lot of movement overall. But in intraday, when you move down to the 5 minute, there was plenty of opportunity. Well, today was the same, guys. These are basically our candles for today. Little to no directional movement. Nice little buying tail here on the 9 o'clock 4-hour candle. But guys, not a lot here to get you excited. However, well, first let's look at the NQ as well, because we're going to look at the NQ first on the 5 minute. Similar here, but big buying tail here, pretty decent selling tails here. Opportunity, and that's all we ask. And then, guys, then we get to the 5 minute chart here. Ooh, what a doozy. What a beautiful, beautiful chart. I don't know if I haven't watched a lot of SNL recently, but, back in the, well, not back in the day, this was just like 10, 12 years ago, Bill Hader was a cast member on Saturday Night Live, and he had a Weekend Update correspondent gimmick as Stefan, right? Like this very weird out there guy who would talk about like the clubs in New York, right? This club has everything. It has, and it was always funny, of course, because he couldn't stay in character. He'd laugh out of it. SNL Stefan, check it out. It's weird, but very entertaining. And I look at this chart, and that was the first thing that jumped to mind, because it's like, well, this chart has everything. Well, first of all, we're moving quite a bit here. What did we have after our earnings? I think Meta reported earnings today. And so actually it'd be helpful to kind of watch this together. Boy, we're heading. I was just about to say not a lot of directional movement today, but boy, we're look at that. Look at that. Let's see how this is unfolding. We're going to come back to this in a minute. This is changing our 4-hour charts quite a bit, guys, because we only have an hour left on this candle. Now, I could pull up Meta earnings, guys, and we could look at, their EPS here or their project. We're technical traders. We want to know things like Tesla had earnings yesterday, right? Meta obviously moving the markets very. Let's see if this retreats though. If we confirm this move, but this is kind of changing the game here right now, guys. Yeah, ES. I mean, ES is the obviously the S&P, so the Nasdaq, the NQ. Probably be a little more responsive to this, but we're heading to low a day here, guys. Very interesting. Glad to watch this with you guys. We don't normally get this kind of movement while this show is going on. But again, while we're watching this, guys, let me shrink this up. And again, I'm going to shrink this up so this does not look like a ton of movement, but obviously it was very, very strong movement. This chart had everything, as Stefan would say, right? An early push up, retreat back down to VWAP, just hanging around VWAP, waiting for the move. And then a nice, slow, steady, but consistent move down, right? Oh, you didn't get in the first one? How about we give you a nice -1 standard deviation VWAP opportunity to get in there, and yet we stay in this zone as well. So again, guys, this was... listen, you're never, ever going to hear me use the E word, easy, to describe the markets. And I really don't like when people use that language. Now, don't get me wrong. The markets, as I've always said, trading, when done right, is simple, but it's never easy, right? The patterns are simple. See a pattern, enter a trade. In theory, that should be very simple, but it's this, right? It's our emotions that get in the way of executing that. So what should, in theory, be very, very simple is complicated by the two main emotions which drive a lot of our decision making in the markets: fear and greed, right? Excuse me. All right, so yeah, really interesting to kind of watch this together, guys, and we'll see where this 5-minute candle, we've got about 2 minutes left, where it finishes up. One of the reasons I like days like today, guys, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. No particular reason. I've been sleeping a lot better the last couple of years with some non-traditional medicinal aids from time to time. I'll leave it at that. And just for some, every now and then, once every 2 or 3 weeks, I wake up maybe for 3 hours in the middle of the night. I'll either toss and turn, or I'll just give up and check Twitter or play a video game or something. But it's important to do a mental self-check when we sit down to trade in the morning. And I was not too tired to trade. I was very tired when I woke up this morning. Had a cup of coffee, woke up a little bit. Was I too tired to trade? No. But was I tired enough that I needed to make sure I was only taking really quality setups? Yes. I took one trade this morning, ended up being about a $400 loser, and took two trades late in the morning, the afternoon. Were both really nice winners. I finished up four figures on the day, so it was a nice day for me. But I only specifically took like what I call A caliber setups. A pluses are very rare, just like they are in the real world. But like A minus A setups, really quality setups based on my patterns, et cetera, et cetera. And the rest of the time I tried not to, because again, I have attention span issues to begin with, and then when you add the tiredness in there, it's one of those things I just, again, have to be aware of. And so there are some days, it happens about 5 or 6 times a year, guys, without fail, that I'll sit down, and maybe it's something going on outside trading. Maybe it's I got next to no sleep last night, or maybe sometimes I get no sleep because I get no sleep. Sometimes, I got a dog over the years. Sometimes, there's doggy digestive issues at 3 a.m. Most of you are familiar with that, if you're pet owners. And so again, sometimes it just happens. And so you need to, but about 5 or 6 times a year, I'll sit down and say, I am not in the mental state to trade today. And so I don't trade. Right. And sure, sometimes you do that, and you have a day like today where everything just, all of my setups were quality setups today. Even the loser was a really nice setup. I told my community in our afternoon meeting, I said, this trade was a small loss. I will take this trade 10 out of 10 times that I see it. And that, guys, is one of the keys of trading, right? Seeing a high quality setup and the trade goes against you for whatever reason. And then you see that same high quality setup an hour later and you don't take it. And it would have been a huge winner, right? that's one of those things in trading where it's just like you almost feel like the markets are out to get you. But one of the keys of trading is having high quality setups that you have confidence trading. How do you get confidence trading those, Matt? You trade them. You put in the time and effort to back test where you can. Paper trade in an eval, getting hundreds of reps in before you put like a real dollar on the line, and taking those setups. Mark Douglas talks about this without hesitation. Oh, this setup for me, this is an RTT long. I'm in. That's it. End of story, end of discussion. And then I know how I'm managing based on the trade that I'm taking. -1 standard deviation VWAP tap, boom, I'm in. Right? And taking those without hesitation. Now, again, there are some times where I want to make sure the trade that I'm going to get in is a very high quality trade. And then it's just a matter, but it's still a matter just of execution. And especially when I see an A plus trade, I see probably 10 to 12 of those a week. I need to make sure I act without hesitation. All right, guys, while we're watching this together, I want to catch up on the chat because that was coming in a little late. John, Muhammad, Tiana, Drawdown, MTV, Enrique, Mike, nice to see all of you. Johan, nice to see you as well. Guys, I'm seeing some new names. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We normally have a little more structure than we have today, but we're watching the earnings results in real time here. So we'll now we're going to look at the 5-minute. I think that'll be helpful. We're going to watch a couple of these candles together, guys, because we have the time today. So we've definitely bottomed out here at about 550, 17,550. So let's see if we can hold this. A break of a low of this candle possibly brings us all the way down to 500. I don't know if we get there in the after hours. When the new session opens up here, 6 o'clock, going to be really interesting to see if this downward momentum carries. Now, guys, I've been doing this a long time in stocks and options and futures. You could tell me that tomorrow's New York Open is down here, and I'd believe you. You tell me tomorrow's New York Open is up here, and I'd believe you. Okay, this is one of those where right now my bias is neutral to slightly bearish. I went in today to neutral to slightly bullish. Right, there's bullish, slightly bullish, neutral to slightly bullish, neutral to slightly bearish, and bearish. If that makes sense, I should do a chart on that so your heads aren't spinning at hearing the same words back to back to back to back to back to back. Okay, well, Reginaldo, you caught that and made 1.8%. First of all, anytime you make money, I pat yourself in the back. I congratulate yourself. But if you were jumping in just because it was earnings and you're trying again, if you were selling just because you think it's going to go down further, I would say count your blessings that you got to win, but be really careful with things like that because it's going down, I'm going to get in short. That's not a trade setup. And maybe you did. Maybe you had a setup that you do after earnings. Some of the best traders I've ever met avoid earnings like the plague, so that should probably tell you all you need to know. But again, if you made some money, okay, just if you don't have to admit it to me, but if you were just jumping in because of huge momentum downwards without a plan, just you're fortunate you got a nice winner. I don't want to take that away from you, but just understand that that's you're playing roulette basically at that point. We want the odds on our side. So yeah. Hey Matt, I did it. Passed my third eval account out of 70 failed. Starting trading on my master one today. Okay. Well, first of all, Rich, listen. I try to be realistic on this show in the things that we talk about and how difficult trading is, because trading is one of those weird things, guys. I do believe almost, not everybody, but almost anybody can be really good at trading, given the right circumstances, teaching time, etc. But it's also something that's very, very difficult. Like, guys, I've worked with surgeons and taught them how to trade, and they'll tell me, this is may not be as hard as brain surgery, but there's comparisons, right? And I've had doctors, lawyers tell me, man, this is some of the hardest stuff I've done. The only people who don't blink at trading usually are veterans who have seen live combat. They're like, yeah, I've seen some stuff. A little candlestick going down doesn't bother me. And then they proceed to blow out their first 10 accounts. But that's a whole separate thing. So, Rich, congratulations. Please take some time to acknowledge that. Everyone, guys, you pass an eval, and you're so quick to get into the next stage, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But just take 5 minutes at the end of the day when you pass an eval, especially if it's your first pass. And if it's your first pass, I want you to come in here and tell me about it while the show is airing. Okay, but just take a minute, pat yourself on the back, appreciate this part of your journey, and then it's time to get back to work. Okay, I hate that rise and grind, and all that mindset. And oh God, these influencer just douchebags are taking over LinkedIn too. It's like, if you don't trade for 10 hours a day, are you even trading, bro? Right? It's the same muscle. It's a whole, I could go off on that, but no, this is hard work. It's going to take time and effort to get good at it, but you also need to appreciate the little stops along the way. So Rich, congratulations to you. I want to hear when you make your first withdrawal. Okay, you don't have to tell me if you blew out any more accounts or how much the withdrawal was. I don't care if it's $10,000 or $500. When you make your first withdrawal, come in here and we're going to celebrate you. But today, congratulations on passing that eval. Keep on going. Okay, harder than surgery, William. If you're a surgeon, you got to now you got to fess up. What kind of surgeon are you? And trading is like any other profession, have to learn from scratch. Yeah, no, Cheeky, that's exactly right. And I want you to ask more questions just so I can say cheeky peeky during the broadcast a little more. I feel like my day is not complete unless I'm able to say cheeky peeky at least 3 or 4 times each show. Head and neck. Oh, interesting. Anything for migraines? My girlfriend has terrible trouble with migraines. Yeah. So you're required to be here every day, Cheeky, and you're required to make a comment or 2 every day. That's I don't make. Actually, yes, I do make the rules, and that is a rule now from here on out. All right, guys. So we are headed towards lows here on the NQ. Rakseth. There you go. Am I saying that right? Yeah, you won yesterday, so I had to pronounce it. You guys have no idea while that wheel's spinning around. Listen, Blue Sky, great company. They have customers from, I don't know, like 30 countries or something like that. And, my tongue is about as American as it gets, right? Like, I can get some decent, Spanish pronunciations because I took a couple years of Spanish. Don't ask me to say anything. I don't remember anything, but I can at least kind of. But no, some of y'all, you come in here with these names. I'm like, the wheel's spinning. I'm like, please don't let me butcher somebody's name. Please don't let me butcher somebody's name, because most you guys are cool, but most people get really sensitive about that stuff, and I understand that. So I really don't want to be disrespectful to some. If it's there's been a couple times you guys have seen, especially if it's like a bizarre username where I'm just like, congratulations. So Rakseth, okay, all right. Sodium and sugar reduction help with my headaches a lot. Okay, drawn out. Yeah. Well, this is a show for trading. We're not going to get into all of that, but I appreciate the suggestions. Is it okay to trade without a stop loss? Well, cheeky peeky. No, it is not. It is, in my opinion. You're asking me. So here's my opinion. No, it's not okay to trade without a stop loss because. If you're trading some kind of eval or funded account, you have some built-in stops, right? But you should never hit those. Once you've got some experience, you shouldn't be hitting daily loss limits. You shouldn't be hitting, trailing stops are tough, I know. And listen, I simmed through a bunch of evals last summer. I failed 4 out of 11. That I simmed according to Blue Sky's 50K rules. Okay, so 7 out of 11. That's a nice, But even really good traders, guys, are not going to pass every single time. There's going to be something happen, and it's okay. If I've said on this show, guys, if you fail up to 5 evals, it makes you a trader. Okay, if you're more than 5 evals, especially more than 10 evals or more than 70. Then you need to reevaluate what you're doing, right? Because you don't have a winning system, and you need to pull back and figure things out from there. So, yeah. For me, placing a trade is not the issue I found. Not taking a trade is the area I'm working on. Patrick, first of all, thank you for bringing this up because this is a point I like to make. from time to time. I was actually kind of like you, Patrick, because I was so eager to trade when I got into trading. For those of you that don't know, I started with a lot of money that I saved over many years. Basically my life savings, $60,000, and I blew through 42 of it before I had to stop. And I was in a really, really bad place mentally for a couple of months before I got myself back to where I needed to be, restarted my career, and it took me a good year and a half at that point to get that money back. So I'm 2 years into my trading career, guys. I'm break even. Right, and I'm facing the risk throughout all of that of not being able to having to go back to work just to pay the bills. Thankfully, I had a cool roommate at the time. We were able to work a couple of things out. This was 8 years ago, and now I'm in a really good place, right? And I made a plan, guys, at 32. That I was going to move back home and go take a couple of my old jobs back and, spend a year or two building up another little nest egg. Thankfully, I didn't have to do that. I was within weeks of having to do that. Okay. And I don't get into all the ups and downs of this story because, I know it's a nice story, but who really cares? You want to hear how I can help you, not how, et cetera. But, so to get to Patrick's point, I was very hesitant when I started the live trade. Ooh, look at this sucker go down now. Live trade for the second time. I took about a 4-month break off between live trades, and I was really hesitant. And there's, don't get me wrong, better to be too hesitant than too eager, right? But yeah, that's part. It's just confidence in your system, which you get from reps. You get from paper trading reps. I'm not, I'm realistic. Nobody should spend. I think everyone should spend at least 6 months on the sim before you put $1 into an eval account, but I know nobody's going to do that, right? So, in the meantime, it's okay to be careful, but you need to kind of find that balance. Why did it drop, and where can I see the news to avoid this stage? Well, it was earnings. We're kind of in the heart of earnings seasons. I believe it was Meta earnings, probably a couple other big boys as well. But guys, I don't trade outside of the New York market hours. So from 4 to 4:30, there's always going to be in earnings season. There's always the chance of a big movement up or a big movement down. How do you avoid that? Don't trade between 4 and 4:30 Eastern. That's that is one piece of advice there is no room for debate on. If you don't want to get caught in earnings garbage, don't trade the 30 minutes after the stock market closes. No stops while on eval. YOLO is the only quick way to pass evals for me. I passed mine in 5 days. Well, Rich, okay, again, congratulations that you passed it. But if you're just YOLOing without a plan, now, guys, even heavy position sizes, I don't recommend them. But if you at least have a plan and a trading setup, okay. I mean, we can nitpick some of the little stuff, but at the end of the day, if you have a plan, you're ahead of the game. If you're just grabbing a bunch of contracts to try to pass, well, then how do you expect to ever make a withdrawal, right? Because you still need to become a successful and consistently winning trader to get to the point you're withdrawing. Guys, I'm not interested in working with traders, and this show is included. If you're somebody looking just to, jump in, try to make $5,000 in a few weeks and withdraw and then go F off somewhere. Honestly, this isn't the show for you. And Blue Sky's probably not the company for you, right? We want to build. I've been saying for years, my years in the education business, I am only interested in working with 20-year traders, right? I want to work with people that are going to trade. And I've worked with people in their 70s. I tell them the same thing. I want you to be trading for the next 20 years, right? And I'm not, it's okay to have short-term goals to make small withdrawals, but I want you making your 5th withdrawal, your 10th withdrawal, your 20th withdrawal. You make your first one, great. Let's celebrate it. Okay. If you're in Chicago, I'll buy you a beer. But other than that, you got to develop good habits, guys, because the markets will always punish sloppy trading. Okay. Whenever I trade one contract, I get profitable, but as I get confident a little bit and go back to more contracts, I blow accounts. Well, Shyam, first of all, I would say this. You say one contract, so I'm assuming you're talking about minis. Get the hell out of the minis. This is my opinion. If you're within your first year of trading, you should be no more than 8 micros, and really no more than 5. And I know, well, I'm never going to pass an eval that quick. Well, okay, great. Passing an eval is great, but you're trying to build successful trading habits. If you pass an eval without building successful trading habits, you're just going to give up the funded account. It's going to happen. Okay, so you build setups, you trade your setups, you tweak your setups, you journal your trades, you're constantly reassessing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is what gets you to making 5 withdrawals, 10 withdrawals. And I'm not talking about your first withdrawal is $500. I'm talking about I want your 10th withdrawal to be $10,000, right? That's what I want for you, and those are the people that I'm interested in working with, both in this show and in the personal stuff that I do as well. So I would recommend staying in the 5 to 8 micros. You still make decent money with that, right? If you're trying to pass your eval in 5 trades, guys, you haven't done anything except spin the roulette wheel. That's all you've done. Now, if you're 25, 30, 40 trades, not all of them winners, of course. Okay, now we're building something, right? If you can take 50 trades and make $3,000 in the 50K eval account before you get the 2,000 trailing drawdown, you're doing something right. Okay, you're trading like a winner, and that's what you should all try to do. Okay, Matt, how do I avoid over trading while having financial troubles? Need money to eat, feed kids. Thank you. Rich, I said this. There was a gentleman that expressed some frustration he posted in the Discord publicly, so there's nothing wrong with me pointing this out. I won't put it on the screen, but in the off-topic section of the Discord, the Blue Sky Discord, there was a gentleman who expressed a lot of frustration, a younger gentleman a few days ago. Josh responded to him. I responded to him. I'll say the same thing to you that I said to him, and actually I had this conversation with a client last week as well. And I can tell you this from personal experience. The moment you feel you need to trade, not that you want to trade well to change your lifestyle, but you need to trade just to, like you said, put food on the table, feed your kids, etc., it's going to be near impossible to be successful. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, and I don't mean to be discouraging, but when you sit down, it's like, God, I need to pass my eval today. I need to get to the point where I'm making withdrawal. You're going to put unnecessary pressure on yourself. You're going to just like spits out and malfunction, and you're going to start forcing trades. You're going to start over trading. You're going to blow accounts. It's going to happen. Okay. If you've got some, again, I had a gentleman dealing with some outside trading stuff the other day, and it was stuff that I have no qualifications to help with, right? General little life stuff. We all can, offer light advice, but it was stuff that I'm just not qualified to deal with. So I told this individual, I said, you're a grown-ass man. You do what you want to do, but if I were in your shoes, I would try to get some of this other stuff taken care of, this outside trading stuff taken care of. For better or for worse, what's going to happen is going to happen. Get it off your plate. Then you can sit down and concentrate on your trading again. Okay? So, Rich, honest to God, man, I wish you the absolute best. I want to hear from you in 6 months that you're making consistent and very large withdrawals from your Blue Sky brokerage account. But if you need to step away, even just for a few days, to deal with some other stuff or, whatever, it's okay to do that, because all you're doing right now is putting very unnecessary pressure on yourself, and it's going to be very, very hard to be successful. Okay. I did it, and it probably took me an extra 6 months to be successful because of all the pressure I put on myself. And I made it, but I'm the exception rather than the rule in that regard. Not that you can't be as good at trading as I am. In fact, I wish you would be better, and I wish you make more money. That's what I wish for all my clients. But I know personally how hard that is. And honestly, I told you guys, I had a backup plan in place to move home for a year and go back to work. And honestly, I think putting that backup plan in place and knowing I had, obviously not an ideal situation at 31, but I had the ability to fall back and save a bunch of money, probably gave me some of the mental confidence that I needed to eventually start to see some consistent success. Okay? But ultimately, man, just and it's okay, Rich. You don't have to if you need to take a couple weeks away from trading to handle some outside trading business, read some trading books. Read The Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas. Read Jared Tendler's book. Anything by Steve Neeson with candlesticks. So you're still advancing your career. You're still learning. You're just not, and most of these books you can find either on eBay or Amazon, $10 to $20, right? So you're not, for a fifth of the cost of an eval, or for the cost of an eval, you can get 5 books, take you a month to read them, and you can handle the other stuff that you need to handle. All right, guys, so we are kind of running out of time right here. Really interesting movement here in the markets. We will see where we I will tell you this, guys. If we stay below 600 in the NQ, I will probably be bearish, have a bearish bias at the open tomorrow. Probably need to get back in below 50, 70 on the ES for me to have that, but we'll see. Ultimately, guys, this what's happening now, unless you're trading now, doesn't affect us much at 9:30 Eastern tomorrow. So let's see what the markets have in store for us tomorrow. All right, everybody, thank you for a great show today. I appreciate all the people contributing. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to see huge viewership numbers in this show, but give me 100 people that are all talking and helping each other, encouraging each other, asking good questions. Over 500 silent people every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So thank you guys for watching another edition of Beyond the Bell. Have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow's Thursday. Who knows what could happen on Thursday on Beyond the Bell. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.